Alright, time to film some hutches. First one is this one. Joss P. Bicker, Steubenville, Ohio. Well, I'm actually going to remove this one from my personal because I think I'm just going to stick to hutches out or south of Columbus unless they're colored or there's something really odd about them. Because of Cincinnati and Dayton, there is so many different hutches from Columbus and southward. So that one will be available. Next up is this one here, Capital SW Company, Columbus, Ohio. Cleaned up really nice, found it in this area, has a dot base. I got 2-piece shills here. I think they're slightly different colors or something. It turned out really great. This one did anyway. Here's the other one. I think the right one might be Aqua or something. I don't know. I'll have to look at them closely in better light. This room ain't lit up very well. Then there's this one here. G.E. Grant from Columbus, Ohio. Even though it just says Ohio, it's listed as being from Columbus, Ohio. It's a nice one. This is Rare and Hutch book. Champion Bottling Works, Ironton, Ohio. That's the only Ironton hutch that you're likely to find out in the wild. F.A. Reichert, Washington Courthouse, Ohio. That was found in the Dayton dump. I don't know if there's any more hutches from that town or not. And these here are all K's. Pick a few of them up. This one I have professionally tumbled. Dug it out of the canal dump. This one's older. It has an applied top, I think. So that one's an 1880s one. I almost dug, or not dug, but found a older one out in the wild than this even. It actually says John Clee on it. Maybe some other time. And this is a run of cigarettes bottles. They're all Gusset cigarettes. We got clear, blue, and lime green. This is only colored hutch I have. Does have a crack, but oh well. Any colored hutch is a good hutch, especially if it's from Ohio. Then you see this one's a cigarettes, but it says, instead of saying Gusset cigarettes, it says cigarettes and Snyder. And it's from Dayton, Ohio. It's a nice one. We got this one here. The French Soda Water Manufacturing Company from Dayton, Ohio, and fancy cursive embossing. I think the crown tops of that bottle are actually harder to get than the hutch. So that's it for the Dayton hutches. This one kind of looks like a hutch, but it's actually a transition soda, so it's not a hutch at all. David Engel mineral water, or I guess it doesn't say mineral water, it says mineral. Cincinnati, Ohio. Someone dug this out of an early dump. It's got an applied top. So I wouldn't call it a squat soda, but it's not a hutch either, so that's why I call it a transition soda. W.H. Mink from Richmond, Indiana. Got a couple different IT Fosslers here. The one has kind of an odd looking top. Probably the last hutch they made. Fossler. Then this is an earlier one, and the letters are closer together. It's made by C & Company, LIM. I had it professionally tumbled because these always come out really sick. Then there's a Horseshoe Richmond Mineral Water Works from Richmond, Indiana. Pretty tough to get. But I think this one's even tougher. Richmond Mineral Water Works from Richmond, and a circular slug plate. It's got an odd shape to it too. Needs a tumble, but yeah, it's got a cool looking base. SB&G Company, number 18. Then I got a couple Star Bottling Works bottles, and those are from Miamisburg, Ohio. This one's made by North Baltimore Branch Glass Company. This one by Edward H. Everett Company. Almost wonder if there's an older variant of those or not. There's this one, it's chipped. And chipped again. Jackson, C&B Company. Then the other variant is this one, C&B Jackson, Ohio. I actually found this one in a newer section of a creek. So it's kind of odd. And last but not least, figured I'd show this one since I'm moving out of here tomorrow. Nelsonville Bottling Works, Nelsonville, Ohio. I actually found 3 other ones of these while I was here and got 75 a piece out of them. They all had something minor wrong with them too, so none of them were perfect. So that's it for the hutches. I was going to stick to Southwest Ohio, but since Southeast Ohio doesn't have very many hutches, figured why not keep them if they show up. Straight side Coke from Dayton, Ohio. Heel script. Double script. This one's kind of a tougher variant to get. And Senate bill. This was the very first straight side I dug. I was digging along the river, and I remember that there was this antique store. It was in Waynesville, called Annie's Place, and that was back when I first started selling bottles. And she's like, if you get an amber Coke, let me know, cause you have something. And so I was really excited to dig this one. But I decided to keep it. There's this one here. Double script, and this one's from Cincinnati, Ohio instead. It's actually a machine-made one. Then this one has the arrow, and that's a nice one. Looks like it needs a tumble on the inside though. Arrow on the reverse side as well. And there's a heel script Cincinnati. This one I found on my adventure with Sister Lady Adventures. Just sticking out of a bank pretty much. That's a Hamilton, Ohio bottle that I've never seen before. I need a rheumatic cure. Let's get that one tumbled. And then this one I bought off someone, Caswell Mac and Company. Chemist, New York and Newport. And it has a really early crude looking base on it. Has to be at least 1880s. And this apple green wax sealer came out of the old Dayton dump. Has a big number 5 on the base there. But it came out so perfect I had to keep it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and it's clean, and of course it's apple green. The color is the real reason I want it. There it is next to a clear raw beer and Aqua medicine. And there's this one. This is a really common bottle, but I haven't found too many of them. I was going to sell it, but then I thought it looked good with my really rare hair bottle, so figured I'd keep it. Next is this one here. It's a really crude one, that's for sure. Balsam for the lungs, New York. John F. Henry and Company. So it's the same as that smaller one I showed you earlier, except it's larger. I dug my permission dump with someone once, and I happened to throw this one out on the previous time I dug and didn't realize it, and ended up getting thrown in the pick because it was in the loose dirt. Anyway, I got it in the pick because it was my turn to pick first. It's a good thing because the hole we dug didn't produce that much. But yeah, this is a nice Pony Schaller Brewery from Cincinnati, Ohio. Lightning style top, I think that's what it's called. Tough one to get. This one, I think I dug this hole with Tommy, and I just kind of dug it on my own the next day because he had to work. Yeah, I caved way back in there and flipped this one out with the tip of my shovel. It was a clear Holland Camp from Dayton, Ohio. Another tough bottle to get. I've seen them around, but it seems like they're almost always in amber. Here's an apple green. Carter's ink. I think it's a Carter's. Yep, there it is. And everybody hears about Lydia E. Pinkham's vegetable compound, but probably haven't heard of this one, Dr. A.B. Simpson's vegetable compound. It's actually from Richmond, Indiana, which is why I kept it. I was going to show it with others, but somehow forgot about it. One day I was digging my canal dump and I brought some people there. And I decided to give up on this one hole because I wasn't finding anything. And this one guy, the guy I let jump in my hole, he took one shovel full, and then that top of this one was just sticking out. Couldn't believe it. Yeah, it's a nice green E.R. Durkee and Company pepper sauce bottle. One I've never found before. And this one was dug out of a really old Cincinnati dump by this one guy, James, and he sold it to me in a lot, I think, because I didn't dig this. He tunneled way under a tree, and that made me a little nervous. I do some tunneling, but not under huge trees. But anyway, this thing is made with light bulb thin glass. It's a nice one. I had to keep it. There ain't too many dumps that have bottles this age in them. That is one of the scariest dumps to dig, though. And I'm sure you already guessed it, but I didn't dig this one. Don't hardly ever dig anything older than 1880s. But every once in a while I do. And when I do, they're always a slick med or something like that. Anyway, I bought this off eBay when I first started getting into bottles because I thought it was cool to see squats because I've never dug any. C.B. Owen and Company Ballers from Cincinnati, Ohio. And it's graphite panel and has a crude tapered top. I think that's what you call it. I'd love to dig one of those. Here's some more Cincinnati bottles. This one I dug in that one old Cincinnati dump. Dug a hole on the opposite side of the tree and went down through a bunch of hard stuff. I don't know what it was. It was almost like rocks, but it wasn't rocks. This was the only bottle I found in there, I think, at least down deep. Crown Bottling Works, H.C. Renensland, Cincinnati, Ohio. Then I also dug this one out the same dump. It says H. Meanhart, Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a hutch. I was digging at the foot of a hill, and when I was there digging along one time, stuff was just peeling like crazy above me. It was all small stuff, nothing big, but because of how much was peeling and how constant, I got out of there. I was really scared. The whole hillside was just going to cave in on me. And one day, the whole thing must have, well, not the whole thing, but a large chunk must have fell down because a huge chunk was missing. It's pretty scary. This bottle was also dug there by James H. Meanhart, Cincinnati, Ohio. And this is a squat instead of a hutch. There's the two side by side so you can see the difference. And on that hillside further up, it was older, but I did manage to find this one. And this has an eagle embossed on it. A.G. Gilligan, Cincinnati, Ohio. There's a G on it there. And now for the last group of bottles. This one I had professionally tumbled. Dodson Hills Manufacturing Company, St. Louis. That's a nice colored pickle or olive jar. And Dave tumbled that one for me and did a great job. Looks good. This one I dug out of the Dayton dump with Tommy and James. Royal Pepsin Stomach Bitters. L&A Scarf. Sole Agent, St. Louis and Canada. That's one of the best looking display bottles I've ever owned. They're not too rare, but it's just a great looking bottle to display in a window. Has a really cool looking top too. I need to find a stopper for it. They're just kind of plain looking, but it'd be nice to have one just to slip right on top there. And then next is this lightning jar here. This one came out of the canal dump. It's got great color and I love it. Tommy dug this one up. It does have some chips, I think. It does have a chip there. It has some tumbling, but it needs a little bit more because it's kind of hazy. I couldn't believe that came out of the canal though. It did. It's the best jar that came out of that dump. It's a great one. Next is this one. It came from the Indiana dump. And when I saw Middletown on it, I thought it might be from Middletown, Ohio, but it's actually from Middletown, Vermont. It says Middletown Healing Springs, Grays, and Clark, Middletown, Vermont. And this isn't tumbled. It came out this clean. I cannot believe it. It's crude and it has an applied top. Perfect condition. This one here actually came out of the same dump. I think it actually came out of the same hole too. Hanbury Smith's Kissingen water. And it's a really early looking one. Key mold base. It has an applied blob top. Has to be at least 1870s, if not 1860s. Well, this one guy I was digging with, I decided to bring him to my final dump, which happened to be the Indiana dump. Because at first I just brought him to the canal to dig, because that place is miles long, and figured I'd just watch him dig for a while and see how he acts. And he wasn't greedy, and he invited me to dig when he went, so I started showing him more and more places until I finally showed him this place, which was the last place that I knew about that he didn't. And me and him dug a hole together, and we got blob beers left and right, mostly common ones, but when we got to the bottom we got a couple hard to get ones. And then this came out. H.W. Rosa & Sons, Richmond, Indiana. It's a really early crude ale bottle. It has an applied top. And I just left it as it is because I just remember seeing it like this when it came out of the ground. I had an $1,100 offer on it at one point, but I turned it down. Then one on eBay and went for $900, around that price. Yeah, it was pretty good. That dig was one of the best digs I've had. And last of this group, we have this one. And this one is made with some dark glass. It says Halsey and Bros Company, Chicago. It's a big square. And it's so dark you would think it's black, and I thought it was black until I looked closer. It's actually a dark, dark, dark purple color, and it's only visible in the very corners of the bottle. So I thought that was crazy. I found that out, I had to keep it. I don't care if it is a non-local bottle. I love a unique color on the bottle. So that takes care of that shelf. So just have the bottom shelf, and I might go over some of those beers there, even though I might end up selling them at some point. But these are my keeper beers here. So there's a couple bottles on here that are not beers. This is one of them. John Cleese Sons from Dayton, Ohio, with a Baltimore loop top. That's a pretty good one. The Schwind Brewery Company, Dayton, Ohio. Huh. You know, I just thought of something. I don't think I had a small one set aside for my collection. That's weird. I'll have to grab one. The N. Thomas Brewing Company, Dayton, Ohio, and this one has a really nice light honey amber color. And this is a lighter honey amber version of the Dayton Brewing Company from Dayton, Ohio. Baltimore loop top. Okay, I'm going to tilt this one this way. The Baker Company, Dayton, Ohio. Baltimore loop top. Then there's a wax sealer here. Me and Tommy dug a hole together and this one came out. It's a half gallon. And it has an F and an H on it. Cannot remember what that stood for. I was just impressed to dig a half gallon fruit jar out of there in perfect condition. I know it needs a tumble, but still not something you dig every day. This one came out of the Indiana dump. The Windish Mulhauser Brewing Company, Lion Brewery, Cincinnati, Ohio. I actually dug a second one too, but sold the other one for $100. It's made by the Stilter Brewing, or not brewing, bottling and glass company. They also make an earlier variant with an applied blob top. I was very happy to dig this one. H. Niehaus and Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Has a star on the base, made by EHE, and it has an applied blob top, and this is a true blob top because you see there's no little divot in there. In comparison, I'll show you a Baltimore loop top. You can see it has a little divot in there. This one here does not. Then here's a different version of a Niehaus. It has an applied blob top as well. It says DOC on the base. These two had to have been I can't even talk. These two had to have been made the same time as the ales were just about. Then there's this one. Gurkey Brewing from Cincinnati, Ohio, and it's a nice one. It has all kinds of embossing. Then there's a John Houck Brewing from Cincinnati, Ohio. This came out of a mostly newer dump. It was the only good older thing I got out of the dump. Christian Moorline Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. The Baltimore loop top. I don't even know if they made an older variant than this. This came out of a 1914 dump. So that's a little bit older than the bottles that were dug with it. The Hootapole Brewing Company, Buckeye Brewery from Cincinnati, Ohio. It's got a lightning style blob top. Made with really thick, heavy glass. Dug one in Indiana, then 4 more in a Privy in Indiana with Sister Lady Adventures. And this one came out of a hole that I dug with Tommy H. Rosenthal and Son, Cincinnati, Ohio. It's amazing how many great bottles I've dug with him. That just shows how much having someone to dig with helps out. Because these deep dumps in southwest Ohio and Indiana, you can't dig them on your own because you're going to be digging through a cap layer half of the day, and then when you get through it, you're going to be running out of energy. By the time you get to the 8-foot mark, you're going to have all kinds of dirt piled around you outside the hole. And when you throw dirt out, half the shovel's going to roll right back in on you. Anyway, so he dug this way down deep while I was pulling buckets. It's a really great looking bottle. It's extra tall whiskey. I dug 2 of these in a hole in Dayton. Gambrina Stock Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Sold 1 of them. Careful. They make a more common version with like a little circle slug plate right where my fingers are making a circle. So the ones with a slug plate aren't seen quite as often. This one has a Baltimore loop top. Probably 1890s, 1895 to 1900. And this one is a really, really old one. Gambrina Stock Company bottled beer, Cincinnati, Ohio, with a king on the top of it. This is a really early bottle here, and it is one of the crudest ones I've ever seen. Try and get towards some focus, but it doesn't want to focus that well. Yeah, it's an old one. It has to be at least late 1870s. Probably the oldest beer I have here. And for the last bottles, the Richmond beers. L.B. Thurman, Richmond, Indiana, has a Baltimore loop top. Eugene Morel, I'm going to put it this way. Dug this out of a hole with Jeff in Indiana. It's made of some thick, heavy glass. Has an applied Baltimore loop top. ML Mink with a lightning blob top. And notice the spelling of mink. ML Mink. Different variant. Or it's a different variant. Also has a lightning blob top. And then this one I had professionally tumbled. ML Mink. Look at the mink spelling on that one. M-I-N-C-K, M-I-N-C-K, and M-I-N-K. So that's a spelling error bottle. Anyway, I had this one professionally tumbled because it's a rare bottle and it's nice and crude and early. C&. Company. The wire bail kind of tore it a little bit around here, but it's an applied top. And lastly, we have this one. The Schlitz, Richmond, Indiana. This is the only example like this known to exist. Has some chips there, but I don't even remember the one being there, but oh well. The only other example is supposed to be a large, oversized, clear aqua blob. So this is a pretty good one. My buddy James tumbled it for me, and he did a good job on this one. So that is it for those. So the whole display case is done. Well, we went through them all. This is the last group of bottles. We got Born and Company from Columbus. No slug plate, and it has an odd tall blob top. That's what it's called. And really, I think this one was made the same time the crown tops were. The tooled ones, anyway. And there's this one, and it has a slug plate. It's a nice looking one, made by EHE Company. And this one is dug out of the Dayton dump. Has no slug plate and needs a tumble. It has that sick glass all over it. Then there's a Franklin Aqua Pint, champagne style. Franklin with a small amount of embossing, like circular embossing, that's what I meant to say. This one here has a great color. I haven't seen another one this color. Here's an Aqua Gambrinus from Columbus, Ohio. That's a really tough one to get. They're always, well, they're almost always an amber. I haven't seen another Aqua one. It's blown in mold. I found it in a really shallow creek in this area. And here's an amber one, and it's blown in mold. Next are all pints. First is this one here. It is base embossed. Hoster Columbus AB Company. Then there's the shoulder embossed Hoster. Then there's a different shoulder embossed Hoster. This one's kind of harder to get. Oh, that one in Ironton. Switch these around actually. And here's a Hoster that you see quite often. One of the most common, if not the most common variant. That one and these two with a little more loop blobs. And here's an Aqua. These aren't quite as common, but they do turn up here and there. Came out nice and clean. And this one was a recent find. And this one is one that I've never seen another one of except one for sale online. I'll happen to see it after I looked it up that day. So maybe they're more common than I realized, but this is the only one of this variant I've found. It's champagne style, while others are all export style. Next is Baltimore Loop Hoster. And here's one with an odd looking Baltimore Loop. Hoster's Wiener Beer. Fancy embossing. And here's a scarce one. Oh, in Ohio Brewing and Aqua instead of amber. And the funny thing is, I must have sold all my ambers because I suddenly don't have any amber ones. So that's one of the tougher ones to get. This one's a Washington Brewing from Columbus, Ohio. I think this is a machine-made one. Yep, it sure is. I know because it has a ding there. Those early machine-made beers always ding up on me. And here's a blown one. Here's a Schley & Son from Columbus. That one has no slug plate, but the one here does. And this is one I've actually found really recently. Schley & Son, Columbus, Ohio. With the slug plate that's full of embossing. It still has a Baltimore loop top and not a true blob top, but it's still a nice bottle. Lastro. So the first one is a Born & Company from Columbus, Ohio. Trying to find a good place to where you can see the embossing. That doesn't look like there is one. Came out really clean, and it has an applied Baltimore loop top. And this one here has no slug plate at all, and it also came out really clean. Has a tooled Baltimore loop top. Then here's a quart Franklin from Columbus. It came out really clean, and it's a tooled crown top. This one was made by the FI company, and that's one I'm not familiar with at all. Found that one with my feet. And here's a Gambrinus in a quart size. They've been in the creek for a while. It's machine made, but it's the only quart I found in 2 years. Well, just forever actually, since I've been alive, because I've only been in this area 2 years. Then we got a quart Aqua Hoster, only one I found. Tooled crown top. Then there's a amber tooled crown top quart. Then there's a blob top, or not blob, a Baltimore loop top. I think that was made by EHE. This one had no manufacturing mark. The embossing was a little bit bigger, so I went ahead and kept it. And these bottles fell in creeks after you soak them in oxalic acid, they come out real clean. Here's this one. This is the quart version of the fancy slug plate. Foster's Wiener beer, and this was a creek find. In fact, almost all of these were. And this one is almost yellow. That's a really good color for a Hoster right there. It's made by C & Company, LIM. And it has an applied Baltimore loop top. And last is this Enchley & Sons quart with a slug plate. So dusty over here. And it has an applied Baltimore loop top. Friend was nice enough to show me an area where he found some stuff, and I dug, and that was the only bottle I got. Well, that was worth keeping anyway. So yeah, that wraps it all up. So since this video is my personal collection, that means I'm not going to be selling anything. Well, unless I get a really good offer for it. The Columbus bottles I might end up selling for what I think is a fair price. But if you want to buy something that I have no plans on selling anytime, like let's say this Union Bottling Works crown top here, then expect to have to offer something or something that's way more than it's actually worth. Like, okay, if you paid $100 for that bottle there, then yeah, I'd sell it. And for something that's even better, like for something like this, if someone offered me $1,500, yeah, I'd take it, but that's way more than it's worth. That's what I'd have to take for it, because I had it professionally cleaned and stuff. So yeah, since this is my personal collection, unless I say that I'm planning on selling it, then yeah, expect to have to pay a not for sale price, which is much more than it's actually worth. So you'd be better off waiting until one comes up for sale from someone else. So anyway, thanks for watching, and that's what I collect. So now you know. I guess that's all.